back then with another gear showcase for Outriders, and today we'll specifically look at the Trickster, and we have 4 different complete legendary sets to look at, so in total that is 20 different items. Now 3 of these are completely new that you won't have seen before. One of them was shared way back on Twitter a few months ago, so there's a chance you may have seen it, but I think the majority of people will have missed it. But the 4 sets we'll be looking at, it's the Edge of Time, the Trespasser, the Chrono Suit, and then there's one that I'm not really sure how you pronounce it. I think it's Ugaki Otara's set. That's the best I can come up with for it. We've got all these sets to look at and they do look really pretty awesome. Now before we jump in and we check them out, if you are enjoying the content, there'll be lots more Outriders content on the channel, so take the time to hit the like, share and subscribe button. And let's jump in and we'll have a look at the Edge of Time set first. When we look at these sets then, we'll concentrate on the set bonus and also the mods. We'll ignore the stats that are on them, but looking at the first mod here, it's called Double Slice. This will buff Temporal Blade, so damaged enemies are additionally cut with a slice, and that deals 50% additional damage for that skill, and then you have Speed Up. So this will buff Cyclone Slice, allows 25% faster movement while the skill is active. I wonder if you can do a Whirlwind style build with that would be really interesting to see. Looking at the set bonus here, it's Edge of Time. Bear in mind you only need to have 3 items out of the 5 equipped to get the set bonus. This one increases damage for both Temporal Blade and Cyclone Slice, and then the 2 skills that the mods actually boost as well, so you can see that's what this set is based around. We have the upper armour up next, so we have Rebound as the first mod, tier 3 mod. This one buffs Cyclone Slice, so while the skill is active, reflect 50% of incoming bullets back at the enemy. That could be really powerful if it's similar to the reflect that the Devastator has that we know, which is pretty crazy. And then you've got your tier 1 mods. This is Wind Slash. Cyclone Slice increases the skill's damage. I'll ignore the actual numbers that are coming up on screen here, but it is a damage buff to that one. And again, it's a tier 1 mod, so if you want you can switch it out with a tier 3 mod. We have the gloves next. The first mod here, Life of the Party. Incoming damage is reduced by 5% for each enemy in close range, and this stacks up to 8 times. That goes alongside your Temporal Blade and Cyclone Slice, because of course you'll need to be close to actually use them. And then we have Cut Loose. This one here reduces the skill's cooldown by 20%. The skill in question is Temporal Blade. We then have the lower armour, the first mod here, Ultimate Duration. So Cyclone Slice adds 10 seconds to the skill's duration. Wow, that's absolutely huge. I've not seen Cyclone Slice in action yet, so I'm not sure how long it lasts, but 10 seconds seems pretty crazy. Put that alongside the Reflect mod we've seen earlier on, that could be a lot of fun. And then we have Strong Slice, so Temporal Blade once again, and it increases the skill's damage. Final gear piece we have for this set is the foot gear. So you've got temporal armour, so when you use Temporal Blade it boosts armour by 75% for each affected enemy. That's pretty crazy if it's each affected enemy. Last 10 seconds stacks up to 8 times as well. Oh, that's an absolutely huge buff there potentially. And then you've got Double Stop, so Temporal Blade once again increases the duration of the inflicted paralysis by 100%. If I was using this set I would go more for the Cyclone side of things, increasing the duration by an extra 10 seconds, adding in the ability to reflect bullets. That sounds like it could be a really fun build there. Now let's have a look at the next set. We have the Trespassers set up next here. I've seen this set in videos, but I've never actually seen a breakdown of the mods. So the first one anyway, is Delivery on Time. So this is buffing Slow Trap. Activating the skill replenishes ammo for every ally's current weapon in the sphere's range. That's nice from a team perspective. And then Long Range. So when you use Time Rift, it triples the skill's range. The set bonus we have is Trespasser, so players can't die while inside the Slow Trap. We have the upper armour next here, and looking at the mods on this set definitely seems like one you would use if you're doing actual multiplayer. It's all about really helping out your allies. So you've got damage mitigation. When you use Slow Trap, allies within the sphere receive 20% less damage, and then alongside that, it works really nice, you've got Ultimate Big Range. With Slow Trap it increases the sphere's range by 2 meters, so you've got a larger bubble, and when your allies are in it they'll be taking less damage as well. We have the Trespassers Talons next, so we've got Pain Transfer. When you use Time Rift, 10% of weapon damage and 30% of anomaly damage dealt to one affected enemy will be transferred to another affected enemy. And then we have double time. When you use Time Rift, enemies are suspended in the air 2 times longer. Onto the lower armour next. The first mod is And Another One. So with this one it's buffing time rifts again. Shots on enemies affected by the skill do not consume ammo. And then a little bit of pain. So this will buff time rift once again. Using the skill deals a set amount of damage here over 10 seconds to affected targets. That first mod actually, when I think about it, if you use that on an auto shotgun that runs out of ammo really quickly, that could actually be really pretty great. We finish up this set then with the foot gear. The first mod is Stare into the Barrel, so it boosts your firepower for each enemy in close range, stacks up to 5 times, and then we have Weakening Zones. So with this, when you use Slow Trap, enemies entering the sphere are afflicted by weakness. Weakness, I believe, makes them 30% less damage that they actually do. And we had a mod earlier on where you would take 20% less damage, so the two of these together, 50% less damage when in the sphere, so that's actually a fair amount. Decent enough set, one that will certainly be very good in multiplayer, but so far I preferred the first set, the Whirlwind one. But let's check out the next one. So with this set here, I've tried to pronounce the name once. I'm not going to try again at all because I'll probably make an absolute mess of it. But looking at the first mod here, it's instant reload. So when you use Hunt the Prey, I absolutely love that skill. But when you use that, Teleporting instantly replenishes magazine and your current weapon. And then Eager Edges. This buffs a skill we've not really seen yet. It's a bit like Yondu's arrow in the Marvel movies. It's Venator's knife. So this adds 2 more bounces during the ricochet path. Looking at the set bonus here, so when you use Hunt the Prey, it does not consume cooldown when teleporting behind an enemy marked with Venator's knife. That's really pretty amazing because I love the Hunt the Prey skill. You can get a lot of modifiers you can add to it. So if you could use that multiple times by marking enemies with the knife, that could be pretty awesome from a mobility perspective. We have the upper armour next, so the first mod is Sniper Blades, so this is buffing Venator's knife once again, increases the skill's range by 50%, and then we have Dance of Death, so this buffs Hunt the Prey. That looks to be the 2 abilities that are getting buffed here, but with this one it decreases the skill's cooldown by 20%. The arm wraps are up next here. We start off with Ready for Anything. 10% of critical damage dealt to elites is returned to use health. That's really quite situational. I think that's a pretty weak one for a tier 3 mod. And then Backstabber, so when you use Hunt the Prey, using the skills deal damage to the enemy you teleport behind. Onto the lower armour next, we have Boomerang Blades, so this is buffing Venator's knife. After the initial ricochet, the knife will repeat its path and damage enemies a second time. That's pretty nice, especially alongside the one where I think it done more ricochets as well, and then it's going to repeat them on top of that. And then we have Time Blast, so when you use Hunt the Prey, apply slow in a 5 meter radius around the enemy you teleport behind. I've got that at the moment in the demo, and it's actually really nice because sometimes when you teleport in, there can be a lot of enemies near you, you can be in trouble, but if you slow them down, it just gives you so much breathing space. Final item before we look at the last set here, this is the foot gear. So the tier 3 mod is Not Impressed, reduces the damage taken from elites by 20%. Once again, really situational, not a fan of that. And then Sharpening, so with this one it buffs Venator's knife and it increases the skills damage. So that set looks really interesting, probably the one that I would go for because I absolutely love the teleport ability, and I really like the look of the Venator's knife as well. But let me know what you think of this set and all the other sets as well. But let's jump in and let's look at the last one now. So we have looked at this set in a previous video, and again it was actually listed on Twitter, so we'll go through it nice and quick in case you've already seen it, but here's a little recap of it. So the first mod is Aggressive Teleportation. When you use Borrowed Time, Reverting Time creates an explosion around you, inflicts damage to all enemies in range of 8 meters. And then we have Strong Twist. This will buff twisted rounds while the skill is active, increase weapons firepower by an additional 15%. And then we have the Chrono Suit set. So this one, Reverting Time, replenishes ammo in your clip. The next mod we have here is Death Shell. This one here, when you use Borrowed Time, killing enemies while Borrowed Time is active reduces incoming weapon damage by 10% and anomaly damage by 10% for 10 seconds. Buff is removed at the end of the skill and it stacks up to 4 times. I really like the way a lot of the buffs in the game actually stack. The developers aren't scared of making you actually feel powerful, which in turn feels fun. Now the next mod is additional mag. When you use twisted rounds, the skill is effective for 2 magazines before triggering the cooldown. We then have the legendary gloves. When you use these, once again they'll buff twisted rounds and borrowed time, but you've got life drain as a tier 3 mod. While the skill is active, killing shots heal you for 15% of your target's health, and then you have short term loan, so when you use borrowed time, reduce the skill's cooldown by 22%. Lower armour next here, and we have ammo bargain to start off with. Once again, when you use twisted rounds, when the skill is active, killing shots replenish 20% of ammo in your magazine. If you put that alongside the one where you can get twisted rounds for 2 magazines depending on the weapon, you could have really high uptime on this. And then we've got armour of Eons, so when you use borrowed time, activating the skill increases your armour by 100% for 10 seconds. Finishing up here, we have the foot gear. So you've got Shields of the Fallen. When you use twisted rounds, when the skill ends, add 15% of your maximum health as shield for each enemy killed by the skill. That's actually really nice because the shield's quite powerful as it is on the Trickster. And then Diffuse, this is actually a tier 2 mod here. Most of them are tier 1s in the second slot, but this is tier 2. With this, sprinting increases your armour and resistance by 50%. So there we go, that's all the legendary sets we've found out so far for the Trickster, and I think that will be the majority of them. There might be another 1 or 2, but I think that's most of them we will actually get, so it'll give you a good idea what you're actually aiming for. Personally, I really like the Edge of Time, and I'll try and say it even though I can, and also the Ugaki Otara set. I really like the look of they two. But let me know which sets you like in the comments below. Let me know which character you would like me to cover next, because I do have another 4 sets for each of the different characters. And thanks for tuning in, stay safe, and I'll see you all again soon.